Every Sunday evening, just after the Angelus bell faded away, my mother would bring a large pile of shirts, sheets and trousers into the living room and begin ironing. I used to watch this ritual armed with a bowl of dessert, pretending my spoon was a tall ship sailing the choppy waters of the Angel Delight Sea. Each week, I would watch my mother, hoping for a flicker of emotion. And then, one day, it came. A single tear zigzagged its way down my mother's face as she ironed a small but perfectly formed jumper I had never seen before. "First day at school for you tomorrow," she said proudly. "Your dad and I will be with you all the way." The following morning, all three of us skipped down the road merrily towards the school until the school building itself began to loom into view. To me, it seemed to be the very image of Mountjoy Prison, a picture of which my dad had shown me in the newspaper once. The nearer we got, the heavier my legs became, the drier my throat. I began to feel nervous. "Specky Four Eyes," one of the children shouted, and I nervously adjusted my thick black framed glasses. "Woody Allen wears them," my mother had soothed when she had bought them first. But whoever Woody Allen was, he didn't seem to be in my class. As we reached the outskirts of the building, it was surrounded by confident, chattering children, and my parents went over to discuss things with the headmaster. "Dad," I said, still holding my dad's hand, "I'm afraid." "Don't be silly," he soothed. "Everything will be all right once you're inside." "Inside? That's what they say about prisoners in Mountjoy," I protested. "What are you talking about?" he said, practically dragging me over towards the school door. "Mum, I want a hug!" My mother rushed forward, picked me up and cradled me in her arms, and it was then that I seized my chance. While she held me close, I swung around and drove my foot deep into the old school wooden door frame. Stunned, she let go her grip, and I ended up suspended upside down, hanging like a spider monkey from its tail by a tree. Try as they might, my parents couldn't free me from the wooden door frame. And all of the children that morning had to duck underneath me on their way into school, laughing and pointing as they did so. To anyone who would listen, my dad apologized. "It's his first day away from us," he said softly. All of this came into sharp focus recently when it was time for me to send my first son, Zach, to school. After the 6 o'clock news had finished, I was busy ironing his jumper for the following day's school. His mother, Siobhan, came in and sat him on his knee. "Anything that you would like for school tomorrow?" she asked. "A Super Mario game," he replied cheekily. The following morning, all three of us skipped merrily up the road towards the school until the building itself began to loom into view. Once again, all of those feelings that I hadn't dealt with over 30 years earlier began to return. My hands began to sweat. My legs began to feel heavy. My mouth was dry. Just at that moment, a cool-looking, spiky-haired boy came up to my son, Zach. "Hey, Zach, how are you?" "Not bad, Luke," he said. "See you later on today?" "Sure thing." "But who's he?" I replied, taken aback He's Luke. Where did you meet him? In my creche. Don't you want to play with him? Maybe later, he replied casually. As we reached the very edge of the school, I'm not ashamed to say that all of those old feelings that I hadn't dealt with overwhelmed me, and I began to cry. My son stepped forward and held my hand. To anyone who would listen, he apologized. It's his first day away from me, he said softly. And with that, he was gone. Inside. Nowadays, children have play schools and play groups, Montessoris and creches. In my day, when we were going to school, we just pitched up on the day and hoped for the best. When I picked up my son that afternoon, after his first day at school, I asked him how it had gone. Great, he replied. And then he added, Dad, thanks for being there. Which was fantastic, because that was exactly what I had said to my dad 30 years earlier after my first day at school.